Taking you now to a hot button issue, a piece of legislation proposed right here in Oklahoma that would have originally required anti-abortion signs to go up in many public restrooms across our state. The senator behind that bill now saying maybe anti-abortion social media campaigns would suffice instead for the health department. And as you can imagine, it has been surrounded by major controversy. So joining us here now in opposition to this bill, I should add, is Planned Parenthood Representative Tamaya Cox. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Just for transparency off the top here, I do want to say we did reach out to Senator Griffin. She could not be here today, but you're here with Planned Parenthood, clearly against this bill. And as I mentioned, there's been some kind of back and forth, started with signs, now maybe a social media campaign. As of what you've heard right now, where does this bill stand on requirements?
So right now, I think it's important to keep in mind that this bill was passed back last session. So this is just kind of an amendment to the problems that this bill had. As of right now, what we know is that the bill is going to require abortion facilities to have these anti-abortion messaging signs. We still have problems with this bill. We're grateful that Senator Griffin did some changes to what it is, but it's important to realize that this is part of a bigger bill. The bigger bill, which is now law, will require anti-abortion curriculum to be created by the Department of Education. And now the Department of Health initially was supposed to require signs. Now they're going to require more signs in abortion facilities, as well as create this anti-abortion social media campaign. Even though the message has changed a bit, it's still very problematic.
And I know in kind of the beginning stages of this, from what I've researched anyway, it was going to require restaurants, we're talking schools, hospitals. So as of now, it's just clinics?
As of right now, what the amendment does to this very small portion of the bigger law is going to require abortion facilities to have this particular language. But it's important to remember that all abortion facilities in the state of Oklahoma already does option counseling, allowing women who are seeking an abortion or thinking about it, allowing them to know all their options available to them regarding their pregnancy.
And you being with Planned Parenthood, you are vehemently against this idea. Tell me why, though.
Anytime any anti-abortion restrictions or laws are passed, we are going to stand up and oppose them because, one, they create stigma for what's constitutionally protected. They create shame for those that are seeking constitutionally, legally safe abortions. Anytime those restrictions are created by the state legislature, we're going to oppose it.
And when you've taken people's temperature on this issue, I know that you've talked to several people in the community, maybe patients that have used Planned Parenthood, other lawmakers. What are people saying about this outside of, your inner circle at Planned Parenthood? What are you hearing in the community?
We're hearing that once again, Oklahoma state legislatures are wasting taxpayer money and time for passing extreme legislation. There are ways and means to decrease the number of abortions. We believe that is through access, through education, and greater access of contraception. Those are true scientific means to decrease that number. However, the measures that continue to get passed, that continue to get struck down by the Oklahoma Supreme Court, do not do any of these things.
And from Planned Parenthood's perspective, your experience here, let's talk about the power of signage. How effective would such signs be if they are, in fact, to be required to be put up across the state?
We have no way to even gauge what the impact signs will be. So what we hope is that legislatures will come back during session, find true means, evidence-based means that they can actually gauge to see how effective their law is being by passing those measures through comprehensive sex education, through greater access to birth control.
And I do want to kind of switch gears here, just to kind of how this would even take place. Let's talk more about the costs of this kind of bill. And we do have a soundbite from Senator A.J. Griffin. I do want to play that, and then we'll talk on the other side.
Make them change the rules so it's much easier to comply, that the burden is actually on the State Department of Health and not on the business, which was never the intent.
So I know you couldn't hear what she just said right there, but basically she said she wants to change it to where the burden cost-wise is on the state health department as opposed to the businesses who would have to put up those signs. What have you heard on the cost front of things, and who would foot this bill?
Well, once again, we're relying on taxpayers to foot this bill if it were to go into effect. The cost is unknown now that we know changes. We knew it was a very, very high cost for businesses, but now we have to change this cost to the Department of Health, so essentially to the taxpayers. But whatever that cost may be, no cost is greater than, again, the state of Oklahoma interfering with the constitutional right to an abortion.
So it would be you and myself paying for this. You haven't heard a dollar amount?
As of right now, because things are moving really quickly, once the Restaurant Association, the Hospital Association talked about their individual costs, we know that this bill, or this amendment to the law, is moving quickly. So we have yet to hear a cost, but I know the Department of Health will continue to work on that, because there's a cost to create a social media campaign. There's a cost to create a website regarding this information. So this cost will be to the taxpayers.
And I know kind of discussions on this, decisions have been kind of set aside until the next legislative session starts in 2017. What is your plan of action in making sure that this issue, this bill that we're talking about right here, gets swept off the table?
So our plan is always the same when it comes to session: educating legislators and engaging our supporters. Educating our legislators as there are ways out there that we can reduce the number of abortions, and engaging our supporters that there are better things that the Oklahoma State Legislature should be working on, continue with our budget crisis, continue if not be able to fund education. There are better avenues that the state of Oklahoma should be working on when it comes to session, not extreme anti-abortion bills such as these.
And last question to you, for maybe women who are listening, what are, if signage doesn't come into play, what are women's other options besides aborting a child?
So if a woman would like to choose to terminate her pregnancy, if she would like to continue her pregnancy or choose adoption, at our Planned Parenthood services, as well as other providers across the state, they are giving those options and those resources to make the decisions that are best for them and their family.
All right, Tamaya Cox with Planned Parenthood, thank you so much for coming on
with
us. We'll definitely follow this bill, see where it heads next legislative session starting in 2017. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.